Have you ever been made to feel like you're an idiot or that you're stupid for asking questions about how to play the Hunter Call of the Wild? If you have, first, let me apologize. You shouldn't have had to go through that experience at all. Some people are really bad at answering questions, and so they take it out on people who ask questions. It's certainly not a you thing. In this video, I'm going to be answering some of the most common questions that are seen on places like Facebook, the Hunter Call of the Wild Discord, and other social media platforms for brand new players playing the Hunter Call of the Wild. And hopefully by getting this information in this format, you'll sound like a complete expert the next time you jump on the Call of the Wild socials. Let's go. One of the most basic questions we get from first-time players to the Hunter Call of the Wild is, how do I get started after I download and install the game? You're going to start on the flagship map of Leighton Lakes. This was one of the very first maps released on the game, and it's going to start you off on a dock. Just ahead of the dock, you're going to see what looks like a white-tailed doe. That is the first animal you will encounter in the game, and you will have the option to shoot and harvest it. That's sort of to wet your whistle, so to speak, in how to play the game, and the guide character, Doc, will talk to you about Leighton Lakes and why it's important to him, and also get you started on your first tutorial aspects of the game. So that is built into the mission system, and if you are a brand new player with no experience in the hunting genre, I would recommend you play through at least the first few missions in the Hunter Call of the Wild, because the tutorial is built in. You're still going to get an opportunity to hunt, but that main character Doc is going to teach you where to go to find tracks, how to identify them, where to go to find lookout towers and outposts, and these skill sets are very important because they essentially make up the bread and butter of your initial gameplay in the Hunter Call of the Wild. But a lot of people, they're like, I just want to start hunting, and that's okay too. If you want to turn off the mission system, you can do so in the settings feature in the main menu of the game. In order to start hunting, like I said, you can shoot that doe right off the bat as long as you sneak up on it and you don't spook it. Most new characters will just spook it away, and that's fine. It's sort of to kind of get your interest or pique your interest on start. If you're able to do that successfully, great. I wasn't able to as a first-time player, so literally hit or miss. So if you're just starting out and you just want to hunt, one of the best things you can do is hunt along the river zones. And while I don't like to advocate for hunting any one type of need zone, like a water need zone, by doing this, it is one of the easiest ways to locate animals as long as you're within an animal's drink time. So for example, whitetail on Leighton Lake drink between 8 a.m. and 12 p.m. That is a great time to go and scout along the rivers and other bodies of water you see on the map. And because you'll get mostly clear line of sight, you could take down white-tailed deer fairly easily. This will allow you to gain in-game cash to make purchases like new weapons, equipment like your cover scent, your lures, that sort of thing. But most importantly, give you the ability to reset your times at the outposts. Now, by doing that resetting of the time, you can actually intentionally select when animals drink. And if you don't know when animals drink and you don't want to run through the map just looking for all the need zones and putting in that kind of work, you can go online and you can research their drink times through the Hunter Call of the Wild Wikipedia page, or you can download the Call of the Wild companion app, which is available at the Google Play and Apple App Stores. The information is out there, it's easy to find, and I'm not going to cover that too extensively in this video. In order to get started, doing your research beforehand is a really good idea to kind of get yourself familiarized with how the game works. Use the Ranger 243 rifle that you start the game with. I call it the noob cannon, but that's not to be a pejorative, that's just to say the most basic model you get in the game. The ammunition is free. Using those bullets, running up and down the rivers, hunting those white-tailed deer is one of the fastest ways to make cash in-game early in order to purchase more equipment and, more importantly, reset the time so that you can hunt more drink zones. So yeah, the best way to get started is just to play. Probably the most common second question we get is, how do I get diamonds? Well, there's two ways to answer that, really. If you're able to jump on multiplayer, that is probably the best way to find rare and diamond trophies in the game, especially if you can find maps that are relatively untouched by their original owners. The maps with the least amount of need zones that have been discovered is the cleaner versions of each map, meaning they haven't been hunted extensively or explored extensively, and those initial start populations are designed to pique your interest in and get you committed to playing on start. That means you'll find several populations with rare fur types, max scoring trophies in different species, etc. Now, I am not speaking directly on behalf of EW. This is based on observances I've made about the game, but if they want you to commit to playing, they gotta sprinkle your initial populations with some interesting trophies, so to speak. The newer the map, the more likely you are to find really nice quality trophies of different species, whether it's a rare fur type or a max scoring animal. If you're looking for diamonds on your own maps, the same principle applies. The earlier you are on your map with the least amount of exploration, the more likely you are to find some pretty cool stuff. The surest way to find diamonds is to just start shooting things. Every animal that repopulates and respawns as a result of being harvested does have a chance to come back as either a rare fur type or a higher scoring trophy, whether that's a gold or a diamond, whatever your goals may be. There's really no quick fix for that, and I'm not going to talk about illegal ways to gain trophies, things like trophy trading or purchasing trophies online. That depletes the value of these trophies, and I highly encourage you as a new player to go out and find your own, because that's what the game's about, right? It's hunting for your own trophies. Third most popular question, is this rare? Good question. So the first place you should look for this information is on the Call of the Wild companion app, which you can download from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Now, rare fur types come in lots of different varieties, especially among the bird species, but your primary rare fur types, the most common, if you will, of the rare fur types is going to be your piebalds, your albinos, and your melanistics. Birds have a little bit broader range. So for example, you might see a leucistic bird or something called a pale, which is essentially the equivalent of an albino in a bird species. In some of the upland game birds on places like Reventuli, and I'm talking about willow ptarmigan or black grouse, you might see birds called hybrid, and those are also rare fur types. Familiarizing yourself with the Hunter Call of the Wild companion app and the fur type rarities that are listed in it is a great way to know what you're looking at when you pick up an animal after harvesting it. The worst possible thing you could do is pick up a rare fur type, not recognize it for what it is, and forget to taxidermize or taxi it, and then completely exit out of the harvest, and then end up picking up another animal and losing your harvest in the process. Piebald ducks are an exception because they're too common to be considered rare. You could say that a diamond is rare because diamonds in the game usually spawn less than 1% of the time, but rare animals are really connected to their fur type. Now, I'm going to be honest here. Really, if you want more detailed information about the frequency at which rare fur types spawn, there is a website called Nexus Mods, and they will give you the relative spawn frequency in percentages for each of the rare fur types per species. So here's an example on screen. You can see here that for white-tailed deer, piebald spawns in 0.20% of the time, while albinos and melanistic spawn in about 0.05% of the time. How they have that data, I am not sure. It is the only time I will ever encourage anybody to go use Nexus mods. I don't believe in modifying the game. I don't believe in using mods to play the game to my advantage. I don't believe in force spawning different rare fur types and especially great ones into the game. But I use Nexus mods because understanding the percentages helps me in a way, even though I have a number comprehension challenge. It's a weird thing the way my brain processes. I don't always retain the information from the Hunter Call of the Wild companion app, but for some reason I tend to for this page here. But that's the only advocacy I have about Nexus mods in general. If you choose to use Nexus mods and want to modify or force spawn different rares, great ones, diamonds into the game, that's your choice, but just understand that it undermines the value of the trophies that you're modding into the game. And overall, generally, the community does not appreciate that. It's something we actively campaign against. So if you make those choices, please keep it private. Please don't share it on social media. It just undermines the whole purpose of the game, which is to go hunt, find things that are cool, harvest them, put them in your trophy lodge, show them off. And if you're forcing it, are you really playing the game? Why? Anyway, let's continue. Now, along with the question, is this rare? The next question we often get is this a super rare? Now, a super rare is a colloquial term that's used by the Call of the Wild community to describe a diamond animal that is one of the rare fur types, whether it's albino, melanistic, piebald, or again for birds, things like leucistic, pale, etc. What makes it a super rare is that diamonds are really, really low spawning as well. They're only something like 1% of the animals that spawn in the game. That's why it takes you a really long time to find them. However, if you get a diamond on top of a rare fur type, that's what makes it a super rare. Now, technically speaking, you can earn your very first super rare by playing through the mission system on the Medved map. However, because this super rare is available to everybody, it's generally accepted in the community that your first true super rare is going to be a random animal you find on either a multiplayer map or your own map or in the process of grinding. Again, that super rare definition is any diamond of the rare fur types, albino, melanistics, piebalds, etc. Why didn't this make diamond? That is another very popular question we see on the socials, and it usually is in reference to a level 8 mythical animal. Now, before I get into this, I do need to backtrack a little bit and explain what mythical even means. There are 3 difficulty tiers in the Hunter Call of the Wild for the different species. You have animals that go from levels 1 to 3 in difficulty, levels 1 to 5 in difficulty, and finally, levels 1 through 9 in difficulty. These different animals, especially things like 1 to 3, they apply to most bird species, the whitetail species, etc. You'll learn about them as you go along the game. Other species such as moose, blacktail, mule deer, etc. go from levels 1 to 5. And then you have big game animals like red deer, Cape buffalo, water buffalo, and they typically go from 1 to 9 legendary. Most predators also go from level 1 to 9 legendary. Now, this is where it gets confusing for some players, and I totally understand this, because when you see something like a level 8 mythical, you might think, oh my gosh, that has diamond potential, right? Wrong. Mostly. When I first started playing the game, level 8 mythicals absolutely could make diamond. It was very exciting to find mythicals for that reason, but unfortunately a couple of years ago the game underwent a scoring change where they changed the difficulty and the levels of pretty much all the species, and they reordered what could make diamond, what could make gold, etc. So today, playing the game, mythicals have an extremely low chance of making diamond, and only a few species are known to do it at level 8. For example, Cape buffalo, water buffalo. I've heard that fox on occasion can. Pumas and mountain lions, I've heard. I've not seen direct evidence of these things, but it is extremely rare for a level 8 mythical to make diamond. If you are going to look for a diamond animal, you're going to have to look for that top tier. For 1 to 3s, it's going to be the level 3, very easy. For 1 through 5s, it's going to be level 5 mediums, and 1 through 9s, it's going to be 9 legendary. But let's say you find one of those max difficulty level animals, a 3, a 5, or a 9. You take your shot, and you pick it up all excited, but it didn't make diamond. You're not sure why. Maybe it was a guaranteed diamond, and you're like, what happened? Well, the problem could be your shot placement or the type of ammo that you've been using. The game is designed to encourage you to play as humanely as possible, as though a real hunter would. If you know any real hunters in your life, or you've ever explored hunting as a sport before, most hunters are in the business of dispatching animals as quickly and as efficiently as possible to minimize pain and suffering in the animal. This game is designed to encourage you to do the same. They want you to take vital shots. They want you to use the proper ammo. And sometimes if you're new and you're not aware of this feature, you might shoot an animal with the wrong kind of caliber or ammunition, or you may hit the wrong part of the body, etc. In order to enforce that, there is a score integrity function in the game. On your harvest screen, if you look next to your trophy rating, you'll see these 4 icons here. When you mouse over them and just hover, it'll tell you what each of those icons represent. The first one is whether or not you use the proper ammunition for this animal. They want you to shoot the animal 2 times or less preferably a quick kill bonus if you can get a vital hit on the first try, whether or not the trophy organ is intact. And this is different for each animal species. If you have a horned or antlered species, the trophy organ is almost always going to be the head. In birds, it's generally just the bird itself. You'll learn more about these different trophy organs as you play the game. And finally, whether or not you hit that vital organ. Heart shots give you a quick kill bonus because it's almost an instant kill. Placing a double lung shot where you hit both lungs at the same time will also give you that quick kill bonus. At minimum, you should try to hit either the liver, the lungs, or the heart as much as possible. They don't want you to hit the intestines, they don't want you to hit a flesh shot, or even a spinal shot. In the case of spinal shots, there are some exceptions. If you hit the spine dead on and sever the spine essentially in the game, that can on occasion count for a full vital score. It's very hard to do. I highly recommend you don't try it until you have some experience playing the game. The biggest vital organ you can go for and the easiest to hit is going to be the lungs on any species. So always try to hit for that. This question above all others, I think, confuses the heck out of people. And that is, what is a troll? Now, a troll animal has a very clear-cut definition. There is no debating this. A troll is a max level animal, either a 3, a 5, or a 9, that does not make diamond. For whatever reason, its score band is too low. Maybe it's a guaranteed troll, maybe it's a diamond potential that doesn't quite hit the mark. It can't be any other thing. You can't get a level 8 mythical with diamond potential and call it a troll when it doesn't make diamond. That's just not part of the definition. More often than not, we see this with high level 4 moose that have diamond potential. People will harvest it and be disappointed when, despite its diamond potential, it doesn't make diamond. And so they will call it a troll and say they got trolled. But really, that falls outside the definition of what a troll is. A troll is a max level animal, level 3, 5, or 9 in difficulty, that does not make diamond despite having diamond potential. So I hope that clears that up. Why did this happen in my game? By this, you mean, why did a beaver fell a tree on your tent or your blind or your tripod, etc. By now, you might know that beavers are not a huntable species in the game. Yet, anyway. The whole beaver felling a tree on my equipment thing is mostly because of the way the game renders. Now, this is what I've heard. I've not confirmed it, but this is what I understand happens when a beaver fells a tree on your equipment. When the game renders in, of course, it's got a lot of different elements to render in, whether it's the landscape, where the water rests, trees, rocks, etc. Sometimes as the game renders in, it changes the footprint of, say, where a rock may rest or a tree may rest by just a few pixels. And if those pixels clip into where you have a tent or a tripod, etc. established, they can't overlap. The game is programmed so that you can't put a tent in the forest with a tree sticking up out of the middle. It needs to be in a clearing a certain footprint in size and dimension. When that clipping occurs, the game is programmed to remove your equipment from the map because it can't change the aspect of the trees or the rocks. Those have to be there. And by doing this, the game has to have an explanation of why your tent suddenly disappeared. And so the programmers came up with this cute little way saying, oh, a beaver felled a tree on your object, and now you have to go put it back up. Does not make it less annoying. And one of the biggest requests from the Hunter Call of the Wild community, put beavers in the game. I'd love to hunt them and punish them for felling my stuff. Anyway, let's continue. Now, this is a question I've seen cropping up more and more often recently, so I thought I would address it sort of as a bonus question. What the heck is this, and will it make diamond? What you're looking at is something called a split rack. This is where trophies can get a little weird. After you start playing for a while, you'll start to recognize what racks make diamond, what racks make gold, and it'll be easier for you to determine the trophy score without even having to look at the little information box in the upper right hand part of the screen. However, you will get some odd ones because of the true rack system, and what the true rack system is it's a system built into the game that tries to randomize the types of racks you'll get within reason. So you might get ones that are perfectly symmetrical, you might get ones that are a little off. In this example, I'm using this red deer that has a split rack, big rack level 9, and a split rack, knuckle rack, which is the one on the right hand side. Both these racks can make diamond. The knuckle rack on the right hand side, however, can also represent a level 8 mythical because you will see that rack on level 8 mythicals. But the fact that it has that big rack on the left hand side makes it almost guaranteed to be diamond. In fact, I've never known one of these split racks that did not make diamond because it has the big rack represented on that one side. Just a little side note, you will see split racks throughout the game for all the antlered and horned species. For things like coyotes and fox and birds, it really doesn't apply, but it's still kind of a neat feature to kind of give some dynamicy to the game. One of the biggest requests from the Hunter Call of the Wild community is more atypical racks for the antlered species. I think that's a wonderful idea, and it would make the game much more interesting because after a while, not gonna lie, you might get so used to seeing the same racks over and over that it's just kind of like, that's a 6, that's a 5, that's a 7, that's a 4, that's a diamond. Holy moly, that kind of experience. You can kind of expect yourself to get to that point the more you play. I really hope this has helped you out a lot in terms of understanding some basic terminology and getting started with the Hunter Call of the Wild. I really hate to think that people get lambasted just for being curious and asking questions. Questions I myself should have asked when I first started playing the game. Then maybe my first diamond, which would have been a moose, wouldn't have ended up with 17 holes in it with the Ranger 243. Anyway, I plan to release more content in this vein, something like a general guide for those who are just getting started on the Hunter Call of the Wild. Look for videos about common terminology used by the community, how to use your menu features, how to customize your in-game experience, etc. coming down the line in future videos. If you have a question that wasn't answered in this video, let me know in the comments below, and I will do my best in future videos to answer it for you. I'd like to direct you to some online research in order to answer your question beforehand because my video production schedule is kind of slow, and if you're dying to know, there's lots of resources out there by other content creators who are very skilled in playing the game. But I'm happy to do my best as long as I can make it. You can also hop on my Discord, the link is in my About section on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed watching this content and would like to support the channel, you can do the usual things by liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting. All of those are helpful. The best way to support my channel, watch each video start to finish as much as possible. That really pushes me out to the algorithm and gets me seen by more viewers like you who might be curious about the Hunter Call of the Wild content. And I'll see you on our next adventure. Bye!